So, okay, we got to talk about the burning of your building, the police corruption investigation that led to an arson burning down your Times building.
So the Little Rock Police Department in the 70s under Chief Weeks was very corrupt. Forrest Parkman, who was a major, one of the top officials, he killed people.
Were you afraid?
No, I wasn't. Not really. I didn't. Bill Terry was afraid, our editor. He came out one day and they had literally picked up his car and moved it about 12 feet. Yeah, just picked it up and moved it. And
just to mess with him.
Yeah. Bill was Bill was brave. And the way I say he was brave, he was terrified and he kept writing the stories. He wasn't stupid. He knew that he was at risk. And, but we had an informant within the police department that Bill had a direct line to. So he was getting a lot of tips and everything. And what started out was the assistant chief of police, Pierce, was they wanted to get Jim Guy Tucker. Jim Guy Tucker had been prosecuting attorney, and there was all these rumors back at the time that Jim Guy Tucker smoked dope at parties.
He probably did.
Who knows?
It was the 90s.
I never got invited to any of those parties. but anyway, so what they did, this guy, this assistant chief of police, Little Rock assistant chief, hires a guy named Larry Case, who's a thug, and he hires him to plant dope behind the front seat of Jim Guy Tucker's county prosecuting attorney's vehicle. Now, Jim Guy Tucker had moved on to be an attorney general by this time, but this is back then.
So who put the dope behind his chair?
Larry Case was going to do it.
And that's works for the cops?
He is a thug that was hired by the cops.
Oh, I got you.
But what Pierce didn't know and should have known was that Case was always wired. When he would go grocery shopping, he would record the transaction at the checkout counter, okay? Everything he did 24 hours a day, he recorded it, okay? And so this transaction with the assistant chief was recorded. And we heard that there was a tape. And we didn't know Larry Case. So Arlen Fields, who was a great reporter, he goes out there and he starts trying to find Larry Case, and he finds him. And Larry Case says, yeah, I'll give you the tapes for $500. Well, he might as well said $50,000. I mean, the whole damn company was founded on $200, and this guy wants $500, you know. But I went to a guy that I knew, a friend, and I told him what the story was. And he didn't say much. He said, I want you to go park at the Worthen Bank, bank branch on Cross Street, mark 10 o'clock, and wait. So I was driving a cab that day. So I went and I pulled my cab up there and rolled down the windows, and I'm waiting. Car pulls up, guy gets out, goes into the bank, comes back. And as he's walking into his car, this envelope just flips through my window, and it's a bank envelope with 5 $100 bills in it. And so we gave that to Arlen. Arlen gave it to Case and got the tapes. And so we were getting ready to shut down because we were so disappointed. This is our first year. We were so disappointed in our journalism. I was the editor, and I was not very skilled. And but anyway, we got that story. The assistant chief had to resign, and we thought, well, we finally did something right.
You ran that story in the magazine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he had to resign because of your story.
Yeah. And so, you know, we said, well, you know, we can do something. You know, we were pretty discouraged. And you don't want to, and when you're poor, poverty breeds conflict. I don't care if it's in a family or if it's in a business.
Yeah.
If you don't have any money, every little thing is a crisis.
Yeah.
And so, well, we fed, okay, so we reorganized ourselves and went forward, and here we are today. But that was because of that story. But anyway, the cops were just horribly corrupt. They were at war with what they called the Dixie Mafia, Harry Hastings. I could use the whole period here talking about those stories.
So how did they burn your building down?
We don't know who did it.
What happened? You just got a call in the middle of the night, your building's on fire. From the police, hey, we just set fire to your building.
Well, we had been losing our racks. Someone was stealing our racks every
your
night.
Boxes that you had your stuff in.
And we couldn't, the news distributor, Siebert's at the time, would not distribute our magazine. Sig Siebert said we were communist. And Ayn Rand, communist. And so what we did, we went to some lawyers, liberal lawyers in town. We said, look, these racks cost $50. If you'll give us $50, we'll buy that rack. We'll tell you where your rack is, and you will get 100% of the quarters that go into that rack until you get your $50 back plus 10%. Well, we had their $50 back in 3 months. And so this is how we built our rack network. Mm-hmm. And so then they start disappearing. And we don't have any racks. We don't have a magazine.
Right.
And so we start sitting out there. We start staking out our racks at night. And Buster Corley, who eventually became Busters, which eventually became Dave and Busters. Uh-huh. Buster Corley was running TGI Fridays at the time, and we had a rack at the Shack Barbecue. And so Buster let me sit in the foyer with a crowbar. And I would sit there at night watching my rack. And fortunately, they never stole my rack, because 3 days later, I get a knock on my door at 11 o'clock at night. I'm asleep, and it's my ad director, Keith Weinstein. And he says, they burned us down. And I look out the door. I'm down at 21st and Spring. And I look, and the whole night sky is alight. And it's our offices burning down.
What corner were they on?
They were at Cross and
Third?
Second. It's a vacant lot today. It's for sale, by the way, if you want to buy it. There's this beautiful old mansion that we had been able to rent, and we had sublet it to a couple of little small one-man ad agencies. We were really proud of it. Anyway, burns to the ground. And so 2 days later, I get a call from the police, said, we found your racks. I said, great, where'd you find the racks? He said, down on the river. They're on a boat ramp. And I said, well, I'll be down there to get them. And he says, don't bother. They've been blown to pieces. Someone just took a shotgun and just destroyed them. So I'm kind of glad I did with my crowbar. Sort of never bring a crowbar to a gunfight.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I'm telling you, people don't realize what a Wild West it used to be back in the old days.
Yes, it had its moments.
It did. Yeah. I loved it. I mean, I'm sorry. I liked it.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the full interview on the right side of the screen. Want to see more of Kerry's interviews? Subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all of her latest shows. And as always, thank you for watching.